laid down as Cabot 15 in July of 1941 at the Four River Shipyard in Quincy, Massachusetts, but renamed Lexington, CV-16, while under construction to commemorate the recently lost USS Lexington, CV-2, during the Battle of the Coral Sea. The aircraft carrier Lexington CV-16 participated in almost every major World War II naval campaign in the Pacific from 1943 to 1945. Sent to the initial raids in Tarawa and Wake in the fall of 1943, Lexington also helped in the campaigns of the Gilbert Islands and the battle against the Japanese in the Marshall Islands. In December of that year, the ship was hit by a night attack, forcing her to return to the shipyard for 2 months of repairs. The Lexington was back on duty in early 1944 and was involved in many Pacific combats during the following months. Lexington went home in 1945 after the Iwo Jima invasion for an overhaul, and then returned in July and August to help with the end of the Pacific War. It is a highly decorated warship receiving numerous citations acknowledging her exemplary service. As an Essex-class carrier, Lexington is important for illustrating the development of aircraft carrier design, the refinement of multi-carrier operations, and the integration of aviation as a primary strike weapon in naval strategy. As early as 1910, the U.S. Navy recognized the potential value that flight would have in naval operations. The possibility of using planes as naval strike weapons did not begin until the 1920s, when aircraft capable of performing heavy bombardment against land or sea targets were built. Naval vessels capable of carrying several squadrons of such aircraft were developed concurrently. A total of 26 Essex-class carriers were ordered by the Navy between February 1940 and June 1943. 24 were completed. World War II and the carrier campaigns of the Pacific firmly established the role of aviation within naval operations, and the aircraft carrier replaced the battleship as the Navy's primary strike weapon. Lexington had hangar deck capacity for 103 aircraft. Lexington's first air group, AG-16, consisted of 89 aircraft that included 32 F-6, F-3 Hellcat fighters, 35 SPD-5 Dauntless dive bombers, and 18 TBF-1 Avenger torpedo bombers. Her planes destroyed 372 enemy aircraft in the air. And 475 more on the ground. She sank or destroyed 300,000 tons of enemy cargo and damaged an additional 600,000 tons. The ship's guns shot down 15 planes and assisted in downing 5 more. Japanese reported Lexington sunk no less than 4 times, yet each time she returned to fight again, leading the propagandist Tokyo Rose to nickname her the Blue Ghost. The name is a tribute to the ship and the crew and air groups that served aboard her. In December of 1947, the Lexington was sent home and was decommissioned in Bremerton, Washington. She sat in mothballs for 6 years and then underwent major modernizations that were completed in 1955. She made 5 deployments to the Western Pacific and was then transferred to the Atlantic in 1961. Lexington marked her 200,000th arrested landing in October of 1967. Well into 1969, Lexington had operated out of her home port, Pensacola, as well as Corpus Christi and New Orleans, qualifying student aviators and maintaining the high state of training of both active duty and reserve naval aviators. Her work became increasingly significant as she prepared the men vital to the continuing Navy and Marine Corps operations over Vietnam, where naval aviation has played a major role in defending the cause of freedom. In 1980, the Lexington became the first aircraft carrier in U.S. naval history to have women stationed aboard as crew members. On October 1989, a student naval aviator lost control of his T-2 training aircraft after an aborted attempt to land on Lexington's flight deck. The aircraft impacted the island with its right wing, killing 5 crew members, including the pilot of the airplane, and another 15 were injured. The island suffered no major damage, and fires from the burning fuel were extinguished within 15 minutes. now you might want to understand aircraft carrier operations a bit more. Well, just imagine that it's a busy day and you shrink San Francisco Airport to only one short runway and one ramp and gate. Make planes take off and land at the same time, at half the present time interval, rock the runway from side to side, and require that everyone who leaves in the morning returns the same day. Make sure the equipment is so close to the edge of the envelope that it's fragile. Then turn off the radar to avoid detection, impose strict controls on radios, fuel the aircraft in place with the engines running, put an enemy in the air, and scatter live bombs and rockets around. Now wet the whole thing down with salt water and oil, and man it with 20-year-olds, half of whom have never seen an airplane close up. Oh, and by the way, try not to kill anyone. Modern United States naval aircraft carrier operations include the operation of fixed-wing and rotary aircraft on and around an aircraft carrier for performance of combat and non-combat missions. The flight operations are highly evolved. Today's aircraft carriers are the centerpiece of America's naval forces, the most adaptable and survivable airfields in the world. That the job of an aircraft carrier is to shoot the airplanes off the pointy end and catch them back on the blunt end. The rest is detail. Landing on an aircraft carrier is the most dangerous thing you can do in all of aviation. That's across civil and military. It's no small feat to land on a carrier at night with a pitching deck and after a 6.5-hour long combat mission. It's an incredibly dangerous evolution. Today's guest panel all have worn the wings of gold and are considered by many to be the best in the world. They will discuss carrier ops and the landing pattern while sharing some of their personal experiences.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to fly the F-16 for 13 years, and I flew the F-15C for about a year. Those are great platforms. They do a great job, and they're a lot of fun to fly. But having flown this now for about a year and a half, I'll tell you, I enjoy flying this aircraft out of all three of them much, much better. The performance, it's a large airplane. It's a little bit heavier than an F-15, but it performs like the F-16. I mean, it'll turn on a dime, and it just handles like a dream. In the Raptor, what happens is it takes in all these signals, and it does all the calculation for you and displays it in one display. So you look down at that display, and it displays the battle space for you. So you spend more time, instead of worrying about what the battle space looks like, what your next move is, because you know what the battle space looks like. The jet tells you that. So I would say this jet is much more easy to employ weapons than any other aircraft I've ever flown. I started flying out in Cessnas in Gainesville, Florida, in Cessna 172s and 152s. And after I got in the Air Force, I got so busy that I kind of let my license kind of slip a little bit there. But a couple years back, when I was down at Maxwell Air Force Base assigned there, I went ahead and got my license back up to speed. And that way I could take my family up and take my wife and my kids up and let them fly around a little bit in an aircraft. So I still love to go up in the Cessnas. I still have a blast in them. I just love to fly. It is an absolute thrill to fly this jet. This jet handles like a dream. So when you have the opportunity to actually take this thing off and fly it, I feel lucky every time I just get to sit in a seat and go fly. It's just an exciting day for me to go to work. It is a very, what we call user-friendly airplane. It's very easy to fly. Now, employing it as a weapon system, that's a little bit different. That takes some training, and it takes a lot of hard practice and work to get good at that. I really want these folks to understand what this airplane's about and let them make their own judgments about what they see in this aircraft and what they hear from the guys that maintain it and from the guys that operate it. If they hear the truth, it'll sell itself, because this jet is that revolutionary and that significant to our forces that I want them to understand this, and this is their aircraft. We're just the lucky souls that get to go out and fly it every day for them, but this aircraft is made to protect them. They pay for it, and I want them to understand what a good weapon system they've bought here.
shop. The Navy Parachute team will be available to answer any questions you might have about the special warfare community or the Navy in general. Feel free to stop and ask any questions at any time to any of our jumpers. All right, as our last two jumpers make their way into the zone at any time without the proper training. High up overhead, you see two of our jumpers that move together in what we call a biplane formation. That's when two jumpers move their canopies next to each other, then a top jumper will hook into the end of the lower jumper's riser. In effect, it will look like that top jumper is standing on the lower jumper's shoulders. From that basic biplane, the jumpers can do various other formations, such as the two jumpers that have trailing for his weight. All right, those two jumpers I just told you about in the side-by-side formation are now coming down in that downplane at 60 miles per hour, directly at the ground. As soon as safety permits, they will break apart, track away, and make their own safe entry into the area. Nobody else in the world has seen them the first time or the second time. So we're fond of saying it takes a B-1B Lancer back to the bone.
I have a B-1 that is taking up a tremendous amount of room, so you got to use a lot of caution out there.
By each place, if you you know where that is. Been missing for about 45 minutes. You can imagine the panic that Alex Martinez had and his parents and the concern he sees as an American. When you think of the United down to 15 miles in Iraq, passing out to go down off the space shuttle. Where are you being concerned on Rudolph or Richmond down towards the beach in the Inland? And the I-20 hits the car. These men will risk their lives and do what it takes to get to the beach. Doing it good, they're not climbing the water. 18 automatically with that fluidity restored to the street. Now what we're going to do is that street's going to make a left turn. We're going to follow the front super turn. We're going to continue to follow the left front super turn. And voila, there we go.
If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for watching.